when I've been talking to you a few times now, Angela. What I hear is like not just you're the founder and CEO of this company, but there's an underlying passion that you have on the whole HR process, the bias detection, and the work that you're doing. Tell our audience a little more about the company you founded and the cost that you're driving.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. I am excited to be here and share our experience with IBM. As my own professional experience, I was leaving college as an engineer and entering the workforce. I'm very excited about submitting my resume. Obviously, Angela was up at the top, just like everyone else's resume. You always have your name prominently displayed. And I was having crickets or silence on the other side as I would submit my resume for jobs. And my cohorts, which were men, were all having great success. And I couldn't understand it. And so I have a great mentor, and he suggested, why don't I use my initials, which are conveniently AL? And so I started submitting my resume with AL, my last name. And so everyone assumed that I was a man. And all of a sudden, phone was ringing. And that was the first moment I realized the world is not as I expected it to be. And I'm not going to be embraced with open arms and equal view. But I stayed in the industry for many, many years. I loved my experience there, and I kind of powered through. I'm also a military spouse of more than 30 years. And when I watched my Marine Corps husband, who is also a fighter pilot, retire, he had all kinds of bias that was applied to him. I have a son who's a Navy diver. I have a daughter who's gay. And so very personally, I have an experience with bias in the workplace. But what was more telling is when I went to Cambridge, I spent 4 years there with a team of 150 people doing research to unfold what the real challenges are in recruiting. And so much of it is around bias. And that leads to a lack of diversity, which leads to more bias.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, just reading about the work you're doing, your background, your experience, I mean, it actually inspires me. And that's the reason I invited you to come with me on the show and talk about it, because the more audience, more folks know about it, the better. So there's a widespread recognition on the value of diverse workforce. Can you tell us a little more about how intelligent automation can help bring in diverse workforce?
Absolutely. So much of the obstacles to bringing in people that are different or diverse is that they have a different background. They have a different experience, both in work and scholastic achievements and collegiate achievements. And when you can leverage automation, it levels the playing field for them. They can come in as maybe they don't have as much experience, but they can upskill very quickly, catch up to their peers, and start accelerating inside the organization. And it breaks through this barrier that we think that we're different, because we're actually not very different. We're actually much more the same to one another. But we have to remove the experiences that cause us to look different. And when I say look different, I mean on paper. In the resume and in the application, that's where we see the differences kind of rear their ugly head. But when you actually get the people working together, you find that there's not these great differences. And this automation that we are working on together is what changes the game.
And also, Angela, there is a movement going on the digitization of labor force, obviously freeing up the time for high value tasks. And you have been also exploring embedding IBM Watson Orchestrate in your solution to make the AI come to life, giving your users a tool to help rank candidates. Can you talk about the value of that capability that will bring your solution?
Absolutely. I would say that one of the most powerful things is when you can give some part of your workforce, an employee, a new hire, technology that I think of as a sort of like a concierge, like a 5-star employee experience. And when you can take technology and put that in the hands of a new workforce and say, these things are going to be done for you. It's not a chat bot. It's actually you're building an assistant that goes and does the work for you that you really don't want to do. And we all have that part of our job. And you get to focus on the things that you're passionate about, that you're really good at, that where your superhero strength lives. I think that's when you see the true person come out as a great employee. You see your team accelerate, and you see your company have extraordinary benefits that you don't have if you don't have this automation there to help.
So Angela kind of talked about the digitization and the work someone doesn't want to do, but basically being able to take that free time and go focus on high value tasks. So let me just dissect the Watson Orchestrate for the audience for 30 seconds so you all see what we are trying to do using AI. So the digitization of labor force is happening. And if you look at the labor, right, any individual, there's three things: one, credentials; two, skills; and three, persona. So we are focused on the skills, and the skills could be API calls, skills could be bots, skills could be workflow, but the AI behind it is all about sequencing those skills, meaning bringing it all together, whether it's an API call, whether it's a chat bot, whether it's a specific bot or any of those things. How do you bring it all together and sequence it? That's where the AI is, and that's where Watson Orchestrate is focused. Last question, Angela, before we close it out. So how do you see intelligent automation impacting employee effectiveness and HR budgets as you look into the future?
So two really, I think, important aspects of this is every company right now is trying to find a way to be more efficient, be more effective, and be more candidate-centric. Those things are all very hard to do individually. And at the same time, they're looking for ways to have some cost savings. So I want to give you one experience that we have right now, which is a 3-person team. And when applied with Watson Orchestrate and what our technology does, this 3-person team actually has a savings of roughly $84,000 a year. So that is freeing up capital to hire another person, to increase profitability, all kinds of things. So that's like where the money is. But I think more importantly, if you can have a team that comes on board and is very effective and loves their job because you've given them work-life balance, that's where you have really won.
That's really good. So Angela, I want to thank you. Thank you for discussing how the HR recruiting operations, a workflow that's important to all of our businesses, can be improved with AI and automation. The efficiency gains are significant and the time savings is real. Above all, I also want to thank you on the noble cause that you're driving, especially around the diverse workforce that you're putting together. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you so much for your partnership. And I do want to invite anyone that's listening to this, if you would like to reach out, we have contact@thiswayglobal.com. And our team actually has a special gift and also live demos to show you how automation can really change your life.